Good morning, friends. Today we are entering into fourth week of our course. By 3 weeks, you must have come across several kind of soft skills that I have discussed. Some I have detailed, some I have detailed less, because that may come in the near future in other courses or other lectures. Now, the course is soft skill for business negotiation and marketing strategies. See, there are 5 things. In fact, there are 6 things. One is there is a skill involved for business and negotiation and marketing, and there are strategies, and the skill that is involved is soft skill. We are not focusing anymore on the hard skills because our focus is on soft skills. Hard skill we have discussed very briefly, maybe some other time in some other courses we will discuss. Now, so we are going further with it. Amongst the soft skill list that I have, several things which I have already presented to you and discussed, but there are many more. So today it's a 4th week, soft skills. Under this soft skills set, we have people skill. What we have discussed so far, a little bit of recap would be better. We have discussed about the personal skill. Means every individual must have that skill, must have that soft skill, which is personal skill, which is very intrinsic, very inherent, may be trained, may be acquired, learned through seeing and then practicing. Personal skill. We have talked about innovative skills, which people are creating, people are innovating processes, systems, actions, but that is again another set. There is another set which is influencing skill. That means you are now trying to influence somebody else. So far, personal skill and the innovative skill is very much intrinsic, very much within. But when it comes to influencing skill, it is somebody else is involved. Somebody else or more than one involved. So influencing skill. Systems, there are certain domain within which you are working, like your office, workplace and such other. So social skill. Now 3 more skills, soft skills sets are yet to be discussed, and they are very, very important. Gradually, they will become more and more important. The idea is how you imbibe this knowledge. You know, there are several national and international institutions, reputed institutions. They are offering these courses not as a regular course, but as a capsule courses, at pilot courses, maybe workshops, maybe occasional workshops, maybe regular workshops. And people are trying to disseminate these ideas to quite a good extent, and they are very useful. So once you are getting introduced to all these things, you can always opt for joining such workshops or such capsule courses, get more ideas, more interactive or one-to-one exchange of knowledge. That is what is advised. Now 3 things. One is the people skill, another is a specialized skill, another is a communication skill. These 3 are now going to be very critical. In which way? People skill is essentially how we deal with people. In your business, you will find that you will be always dealing with somebody else. You don't do business with yourself. You will be doing business with others. And when you are doing business with others, then naturally people skill becomes very, very important. Now, people skill don't come that easily. People skills will come with your experiences, exercises, sometimes failure, sometimes success, by which you will acquire this people skill. Specialized skills are something which are very, very intrinsic. It can also be acquired. When I will discuss about it, you will find that the specialized skill is, everybody has, take it for granted that okay, everybody has good personal skill, good innovative skill, good influencing skill, good people skill, but still something which is very, very specialized skill, not many people do have it or possess it. Now those skills are also equally important. And then finally I will talk about, in this week's lecture, the communication skills, the essences of communication skill. Then in the 5th week I will go into the real exercises of and knowledge about verbal communication and non-verbal communication. So this week's target is to understand what people skills are, what specialized skills are, and what communication skills are. And when you will now thread them all together, you will find that when you are going to the 5th week, that particular skill set when you are going to talk about verbal and non-verbal, there are many things to learn. I'll go back to the original question that whether soft skill can be learned. Yes, as I said, there are many agencies, many organizations, many experts, either individually or in a group, they are offering such kind of courses. Attend it. If you attend a workshop, I've heard many people, and also I've been benefited myself, attending a workshop opens up the eyes, opens up the avenues, opportunities, re-looking into it, introspection, and then you realize you have something hidden. You never knew that you have that hidden talent, and then you didn't get a chance to express it or use it. But after attending the workshop, when your internal talents or skills have been, extracted out to show it to you, and then you realize you can do. So this is very, very important. So simply learning or attending this particular course under this NPTEL does not make full sense. You have to first learn it, exercise it, add it with other workshops, and then exercise it further in the practice. In the people skills, one is anchoring. This anchoring is when somebody is trying to organize something and they know that there are certain opportunities and people are going to be communicated with, and they start anchoring with such kind of people with its own objective or own products. This anchoring may be sometime done with networking, good networking. Good networking with a good anchoring skill is basically, that means you have an opportunity somewhere, you have tracked it, you have identified it, network, and get in touch with it. So this anchoring is one. People skill will generally be slightly a bit of extension of the social skill. Social skill we consider that it's basically one to one or one to few. But in people skill, you are going to have wide gamut of people. You don't know who you are going to interact with. So this particular skill, that how do you anchor the situations, the opportunities, the links, the networks, is very, very important. We do use this term called anchoring whenever you'll find that there is a presentation of something. During the presentation, somebody threads everything. That means you have gone to a client and you have a team, and everybody has to say something or the other to the client as scheduled by you. That one expert is going to speak about this, another expert is going to speak about this, and so there are 5-6 experts are going to speak on 5 different topics to impress the client. Now the client is not in a position really to see that how does he really assimilate all the knowledge together to know whether it is beneficial to him. One person in your team must be there who can link them up. This is a kind of anchoring. That means when somebody will be invited to speak something and express his knowledge and his viewpoints, and then how do you link it with the other, how do you link it with the other, and such till the end, and then ultimately give a summary. This is a very strong point which you have to own. These things are also sometime, it's intrinsic, no doubt about it, but you can practice it. One can always practice it. Coaching is what? Coaching is the tricks and threads, and you have the knowledge, and now you are disseminating to another person and training the person. Now you are basically responsible for making that person's talent be explored and extracted, and then make him more talented on that. This is what is coaching. Like say, you know something, the person opposite to you don't know, and you are now going to tell him or her or many of them together that how really this action has to be taken. This coaching is not very easy. I said earlier also that not everybody can be a good trainer, not everybody can be a good teacher. Highly knowledgeable people may not be a good teacher, and moderately knowledgeable people may be a very good teacher. I don't know, you must have had this kind of experiences. So coaching is one of the people's skill, means how you communicate your knowledge, give it to somebody else and train somebody. Commanding is basically controlling. In people's skill, commanding is strong. Commanding is best expressed or best exercised in the armies, in the militaries. In such cases, what happens is somebody has a skill who has the capability or capacity to command everybody to do a certain stipulated task. The commanders in the army is acquired that particular position by promotions. How? By giving intermediate tests at different point of time. That means experience, knowledge, experience, exposure, all this helps the person to be in a commanding position, and commanding position means others are going to follow you. And others are going to follow you. Are they going to follow you blindly? No, they are going to follow you with your instructions. So how you give your best instructions. So commanding does not mean that you order somebody do this. No, your instruction should be such that it does not hurt his self-respect. At the same time, he knows that what he has to do, and you have expressed what you want him to do. This is commanding. We say that not everybody can be commander. This commanding is a skill which can also be trained. Collecting feedback is a people skill. If you are running an office, if you are a manager, and then how do you get the information about every person, different persons or different team members? How do you collect the feedback? It's a people skill. Collecting feedback, there may be various formats which are maybe floating in the net now, and there are many formats which people are writing in the books and they are expressing. They are well researched. Those formats are good, but the thing is, you have to have that skill to know how do you get the feedback. Quite often you will find a very standardized format of feedback is very, very sterile and very mechanical. It does not really give you the actual feedback. The feedback by observing, by taking information through somebody, by listening to somebody, or by giving somebody a task and ultimately seeing how somebody is performing, all these are the different processes of feedbacks. So this is also people's skill. Generally, we say that, okay, can it be consider this as a personal skill? Yes, any of these people skills are basically first your personal skill in one sense, that you know how to collect feedback, that's your skill. But feedback of whom? Many other people. That means others are involved. So whenever you are going for this, you have to consider that your personal skill now exercised for others becomes a people skill. Crisis management, I had given some example earlier also. If there is a crisis, how do you manage it? Crisis is created. If it is individually at your place, you are involved alone, then it's different issue. The other thing is, how do you handle a crisis created amongst lots of people, or in the midst of many people, or by some other people? How do you manage it? How do you manage the crisis? Basically, not everybody is given the responsibility of becoming a manager. One would always watch this. You can note down mentally that if you have good personal skills and all other skills, fine. Even your social skill is also good. But the thing is, you will be given a position of a manager only when it is found that you can manage a crisis. During crisis management, you have to really analyze so fast, absolutely based on your presence of mind. Quickly you have to analyze what is required at this point of time, and then you take actions which are right actions. There may be out of that some or one or two maybe are faulty actions, or maybe sometimes undesirable actions, but still the crisis has occurred. You don't have much time to really go for academic analysis of that. You have to take instant decisions. And now if you see that, okay, you are a good crisis manager, you are facing the crisis, and then immediately you are commanding the other people to act the way you want. People like, say, a good example of this kind of situation is like, say, when there is a fire. The fire brigade are well trained, and everybody knows exactly what is to be done amongst the fire brigade group. Okay? But the thing is, there may be one or two who are excellent, better than others in terms of crisis management, because everybody is now going to face the fire. But how does he make things do exactly what is to be done at that point of time in a minimum time, so that there is no chance of any life loss or any other property loss. That means this kind of skill is something which you are not doing for yourself or alone you are doing it. You are doing it many others. How do you command others? How do you collect others? How do you instruct others? So this is what is the crisis management during something which has gone wrong. So you have to have a skill. Decision making, I said earlier, decision making is based on various factors. Decision making when you are doing for people, decision making when you are doing for mass, decision making when you are doing for nation, decision making you are doing for a group who is in front of you, that is a people skill. For your independent personal decision is a different thing. Decision making is true there, everywhere decision making is true, but I know there are many people who are very good creator, very innovative, very good, very strong in personal skills, but somehow they become weak at the point of crisis, and at the point of crisis they somehow cannot take the decision and immediately look towards others for suggestions. Now you see, if suppose there is a crisis and you have good crisis management skill, and then you know that that point of time whatever decision you will take is at that point, at that context is the right decision. Okay? So decision making is essential. You cannot leave it to others. You cannot then pass a note to somebody up superior saying, please tell me what is to be done. Of course, if there are certain protocols in armies and others, or in medicines and other such kind of things, or even in engineering works, okay, if there is a protocol you follow it, but the thing is protocol should be done is followed in such a manner that if there is a crisis it has to be very quickly followed. So I don't say that when you are going for this kind of decision making or crisis management you break the protocol. No, protocol is there. In such kind of crisis or in such kind of events, protocol is also to be followed. You know exactly how it is to be done because you are dealing with lots of other parameters. Delegation is one I have already said once. Delegation is something when you know that you can trust somebody else to share your load. That means now you are making a team. When I will talk about team building in one of my lectures, I will be able to elaborate more. Team building is essential, and team building is for what? You are delegating. Let's take a case like football game. Suppose you are one of the players, you got a ball, you know that the ball has to be taken to the other side of the team, and then you are going to push that ball to the goal. That is your target, everybody knows. Given an opportunity, if there is no obstruction, you go and ultimately put the ball into the net. That is fine. But delegation is what? That you have got the ball and now you are proceeding, and now you are finding impediments like stoppers and others, midfielder stoppers who are stopping you. And then you immediately pass the ball to somebody. Basically what you have done, do you know? You have delegated the action of taking the ball forward towards the goal through other players. How do you do it? That is instant. So delegation power is a good power as a people skill, or delegation skill is a good skill. But I can also tell you, I think I have said earlier also, if you are very strong in doing something and the person whom you are delegating, they are slightly weaker than you, then there is a delegation lag. This delegation lag is very interesting. Delegation lag is, now you have to first convince yourself, you are fighting within your own mind saying that if I do this, will you be able to do the job that I am expecting? I am not doing it, I am passing on to him. That means you are going to pass on to somebody. The football game again, let me take, suppose you are dribbling and ultimately you know that now you cannot go forward because there is a stopper who is stopping you. Now you have to delegate the ball to somebody else. There are two players on either side of your own team. Who would you delegate to? Now you will find out of these two who is stronger in tackling, dribbling and all that, and who is stronger, like say who can take the ball as fast as possible and ultimately take to the field, to the goal post. Now the situation is, you at that point of time, since you are interacting with the opponents at that point of time who is likely to do a foul to you, you really cannot measure that okay, how much time this player will take to reach the goal, how much this will take to reach the goal, but you have to delegate. This delegation is slightly instant delegation, but there are delegations which are like say procedural delegation. That means you have got a task, and that particular task you have to do with a team. You have built your team, and now you are going to delegate this task to this person, this task to this person, and you know how much time each would take and what's the responsibility of deliverables. Okay? So delegation is a very strong skill. I can again repeat, people who can do things very well themselves and who are highly skillful, they suffer from delegation power. Judge yourself. If you are one of such who are highly skilled in doing something, then you would definitely suffer in delegation power. That means basically what you are doing is you are not being able to delegate to somebody who is going to deliver something which is not as good as your expected quality. This is one thing which is always there in our profession, in our business, in our life. So you only delegate to such persons who can deliver to your level of expectation. So in this what you do is you delegate and then you decide the degree of attainment. That means you are delegating with a rider that you may not expect that level of precision or correctness which you are expecting or you would have done. But you are delegating because you cannot do it yourself, the time does not permit, and there are many other responsibilities which you have to parallelly do it. And it is humanly impossible to do two things parallelly. So what you do is you just delegate to somebody else. But what is important here is delegating to the other person is fine, but you must judge what is the other person's skill and then how much you are expecting and see to it that you get that as a deliverable. This is very, very important. Now, another point which I said last time, delegation. Be very watchful or careful or protective from persons who delegates instantly. You know, there is another set of people I have come across in my profession, amongst my several professional colleagues and all, who cannot do it, gets a job, gets a project, cannot do it himself because he is not skillful. He got it by virtue of the position or the protocols or whatever. I don't have any issue, but the thing is the person has got it and now he has to get it done because he has to deliver and he knows he cannot do it. So what he will instantly do is delegate. And initially I am saying be a good people skill delegator. Now I am saying be very watchful from these delegators. There are two viewpoints, two perspectives I am placing. Because if you cannot identify, suppose you are a person whom the work has been delegated to, then first you judge. As I said, as a delegator, that you judge the quality or capability and the precision level that you are expecting from that person whom you have delegated to. Now, I will put it in the other way. You be watchful on the reverse side. That means, if a work has been delegated to you, then you judge who is delegating it to you. If somebody who cannot do it himself, if somebody who is not knowledgeable about himself, he somehow managed it to get the project and then ultimately pushes on to you through the process of delegation. Because the person who cannot do things and wants to get things done, they are the best delegator because they immediately delegate, because they know that since they cannot do, delegation is the only way they have to fall for. But if you are highly talented, then probably you will think twice before you are delegating it. Now, if you are now getting delegated, be watchful about those persons who don't know what to do, how to do, got the project delegated to you. The danger lies here is he will keep on expecting more than what you should be able to deliver. This is the danger of delegation. Now, if I say the person who can delegate well has good people skill, at the same time I would say that if you are getting delegated and you can judge well, it's your people skill. Okay, that you can assess the person whom you are going to deliver to, he is at which level. In such kind of cases, you know, basically what happens is, I would say both are there in our profession, in our business, both are there. It's something like working under a less educated boss. The boss, just by virtue of something, has become the boss. The boss has to delegate because he has to get the things done. But you are unfortunately a person who is working as a subordinate to the boss, because by virtue of the situation and the context, you are the subordinate. So now you have to be really cautious that how you get delegated. One thing I suggest, my suggestion in this case is that what you do, if you are delegated with some responsibilities, then play a different role. You don't refuse the work because you are paid or you are appointed for getting delegated. So you cannot say no, and you should not say no. Professionally should not say no. only thing is, my suggestion, only thing is the person, if you feel, who is delegating it to you does not know the pain of doing it, does not know the value of doing it, does not know the quantum of deliverable expected, does not know the time frame within which he is expecting something which is enormous to be done, then try to convince him. Try to convince him in giving him the right picture. Is something like, if suppose somebody says, I am giving you this task, do it in 1 day, bring it to me tomorrow. If it cannot be done, if it requires 2 days, then it is your responsibility that you make that person aware that it cannot be done in 2 days. Sorry, cannot be done in 1 day. It has to be done in 2 days. Okay. Then, if suppose it's a high value work and he is paying you less, then also your responsibility that you convince him by saying that you are at a very lesser cost, you are doing a very high value job. If the quantum that has been given is beyond your individual activity, then you request for assistance. It is your role. So, delegation, when I am saying delegation is not simply giving away the work, delegation is the process in which it is bidirectional. So, if you can really be skilled, soft skilled, by which with your personal skill, with your convincing skill, with your influencing skill and all other skills, if you can communicate to your person who is delegating to you that okay, I do it, this is what is expected, and you are giving me 1 day time, within 1 day time this much can be achieved, and this is the good achievement within that 1 day. If you require a better than that, then you have to give me 2 days. And now if it is a volume is such that it can be done in 2 days, because this is what is expected delivery, then I require an assistant. And the assistant which you are giving, now you think about the cost for the whole thing. This is how the whole work goes on. Okay? So, do not always consider that you are giving, consider when you are taking as well. Diplomacy is, I have said sometime earlier also, diplomacy is the way you explain this. Like when we are saying that you are getting delegated, you want to tell your boss that I require more persons, I require more time, I require more compensation and all these things. In such cases, diplomacy is the way by which you will be able to express to him. By this diplomacy is the art of saying what you have to say. More often people say diplomacy is diplomatically saying something. That means you didn't want to say it, or it is not good to say it, but you are saying it, you have to say it. And you place it diplomatically, as if you are saying, like say in beating around the bush, ultimately coming to the point. This is what is diplomacy that we are talking about. Okay, if it is delegation and if you are on the side that you are receiver, then you have to follow your diplomacy. Contrary is also true. If a person, he knows that he cannot do it and he has to delegate, and if he tells you that okay, you have to do it, and he also gives you a time frame which is very unreasonable and unexpected, he also has to tell you diplomatically. So, diplomatically or diplomacy is something, the way of expressing or putting a demand or explaining a situation or explaining your limitations, or rather explaining the whole context, is in a way that others do not feel bad about it. That is the diplomacy. Otherwise, I will tell you, means if somebody was really rational, if a person who is delegating you the work and expecting this to be done in 1 day, and if he knows about that particular job that it cannot be done in 1 day, then if he tells you that I want it in 1 day, he makes a fool of himself. So, he does not want. So, what he does he puts it very diplomatically, saying you understand the situation, like the client is forcing me to give it within 1 day. If we do not do it, we lose a job. If we do not get a job, then we lose our earning. All these are nothing but a diplomatic way of saying that please do it, otherwise lose your job. This is what is critical. Okay. Now, at this point, let me stop. Again, I will go further on the people skills. So, if I summarize it, you should be having a skill through which you can make people work with you, or you work with others, you convince people and you get convinced by others, or you do not get negatively convinced by others. You delegate works to the people, but do not get delegated on unreasonable requests. Quite often I get unreasonable requests that please do it for me, please do it for me, which is unreasonable. So, people skill is how you express your inability. How do you say no? In this, how do you say no is a big learning in the life. And when I'll talk about this at one point of time in this lecture, that how to say no, it's to be learned. Okay, we'll go further. Thank you very much.